Welcome to OBM Unscripted, where the systems get sassy, tech tantrums are tamed, and real talk rules the mic.
We're your hosts. I'm Christy Beard, your go-to strategist and business coach.
I'm Manita Brooks, your operations and tech whisperer.
And I'm Lena May, the guru of systems and workflow magic.
We're all accredited OBMs, and we have seen it all.
If you've ever wanted to scream into a client brief, cry over Zapier, or Google, "Can I invoice for emotional labor?" you're in the right place.
This is your space for behind-the-scenes stories, hot takes, and community vibes for OBMs, VAs, and online service bosses.
Real talk, real answers.
Unfiltered,
Unscripted.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of OBM Unscripted. We are talking about what the heck does an OBM do anyway? When you go out there, you see OBMs that offer a variety of different services at a variety of different levels. Some are packaged, some are not. So we're here to just talk about what we do as OBMs and what we don't do. So Lena, I want to kick it off with you. What do you do as an OBM?
So I am a niche-based OBM. So my niche is real estate. And in real estate, an OBM is what they call a director of operations because we're running the back end of the business for the agent. So the agent can actually be out there selling and talking to clients. And somebody like me is running the team, keeping everything on budget, looking over everything before it gets posted or goes out to the client. I also have the agent strategize and put into integration any visionary ideas that they have as they move forward. So that's what I do.
Christy?
Actually, always discuss the elephant in the room. And everybody wants to scale and they want to grow and they want to bring on teams, but they have no systems. And Starbucks and Target didn't become Starbucks and Target without systems. And so I help people put systems in place that work for their business. It's not a cookie cutter type offer that I have. And so we look specifically at their business, how their mind works, what they like, what they don't like, what they need, what they don't need. And then we put systems in place to help them reach the goals that they have. So I'm a strategist, so I look at the big picture and I look at where they're at and where they want to go. And I fill in the gap of helping them figure out how to get from A to B and what that looks like. And I help them stay on task. So yeah, I guess I would say that I'm basically just like kind of like the COO, but different operations management. There's so many different names for what I do, but I would say primarily I help people put the foundation in place for their business to grow.
That's kind of exactly how I would describe my role as an OBM, getting people from where they currently are to where they want to be. And I do that through means of tech implementation. So that does include streamlining their systems. That includes training their teams on how to use new systems or processes that gets their work standardized and systemized in a way where they don't necessarily have to be there training their entire team every single day, trying to figure this out, answering all the questions. I help put a system in place where their team can now go to that repository and use that as a knowledge base or a knowledge hub, or, streamline a bunch of other processes so they're not having to manually go in and copy down information from someone who's called in and, make sure that gets keyed in and implementing automation to make all of that flow a lot better. So what I want to ask you guys now is, how are you different from a VA? That's the hot button topic.
We are different from VAs because we're not told what to do. We take the reins. We understand the tasks needing to be done, and we do the things or delegate the things that need to happen. We also help that visionary with their big ideas, and we offer strategies to the visionary on how to make those ideas a reality. We're even the checkpoint for the visionary going, you have this idea, but you're missing a step, so we need to stop, go back to our original thing, and then work this into the plan. So sometimes we're even the CEO's babysitter, for lack of a better word. It's the strategy, the critical thinking, the taking of the reins. We don't have to be told what to do. We just do it and can do it or even delegate it. That makes us different from a VA.
The only thing I would really add to that is basically what you just said is if you have a team in place, the OBM then manages that team and makes sure that everything gets done and everyone's doing what they do. They do take the lead and they're not going to the CEO for direction. They've already talked with the CEO. They know what the goal is and they run with that goal. I think that, and I do want to say there's nothing, so VA and OBM, they're both great roles and they're both needed. So VAs are more of the implementation and task-oriented position or role within a business, and OBMs are more of the big picture, take the lead, and manage what's going on. They're kind of like the CEO bestie, and gosh, the word just escaped me. But so they work hand in hand with the CEO, the business owner, and they discuss the goals of the business and they help the CEO get to that goal.
I heard someone describe the difference between an OBM as OBMs being the air traffic controllers and VAs being the pilots. So it's kind of like the OBM is in the background directing all the chaos, making sure that the pilots don't crash into each other or they stay on course or wherever they need to be. And then the VAs come in with their individual specialties, whether it's research or social media or what have you. And they go ahead and fly the plane after they're given their directions. So I thought that was a good analogy and way to describe it. So I think going out there, I know both of you are on LinkedIn and you may have seen this where you see VAs basically saying that I'm going to clean up your operations and streamline your services, but I'm a VA. What's your take on that?
Change your name to OBM and raise your rates. Jump on in. Don't be afraid. If you're doing the work, you already are that position.
I agree 100%. It's the same thing in real estate. People call themselves a TC or an assistant. If you are running that business or managing that business, you are now an OBM. And even OBMs have two levels. So they have the integrator level, which is that critical thinking, putting all the steps together task. And then they have that management level where they've created the task. Now they're managing the team that does all the things. But if you're in charge of a business's financials, if you're in charge of the people that are already on that team, like it or not, you are an OBM or an operations director, whatever it is you want to call yourself. So don't shortchange your value and absolutely raise your rates.
I think it's worth mentioning too that back in the day, I mean, OBM is a new phrase. It's just operations manager. You're just adding the online part. So back in my time, it was either general manager, GM, operations manager. Gosh, there's so many different names that you could put to a COO. You know, if you're doing the work, that is what you're doing. That is the position. So definitely, I would say raise your rates and who cares about the title, but take the title if you're doing the work.
So here's my next question for both of you. Why do you think there's so much confusion out there about what an OBM is?
I just kind of alluded to that. It's a new thing, sort of, but it isn't. And I think it's kind of like AI, what we were just talking about in another episode, is it's come to us so fast. Like 2020 hit, a lot of people were working from home. They were trying to figure out how to generate revenue in the position that they were in. And so a lot of people started online businesses doing what they were doing in the real world. You know, if you have office people working in the office, now they're trying to do the same thing online. And I think it has grown so quickly that we really haven't had a chance to differentiate what each position or title actually means.
I'm going to refine that a little bit and say it's the online culture that has changed, because what VAs started doing was taking on tasks. And then as they got better at those tasks, their capacity opened up. So business owners started trusting them more with other parts of the business. And next thing you know it, they're running the business for that business owner. The pay never increased and the job responsibility did. And Now you have all these new marketable soft skills and hard skills that if you like what you're doing, obviously stay where you are, but you can literally repackage who you are now online as a business manager, whether it's online or not. And a great example of this is years ago, I used to work retail and I was the manager of that retail store. But everybody who came into that store thought I was the owner. The owner didn't even have to show up because she had so much faith that I was going to take care of the day to day of that business that I was often mistaken as the owner. Oh, you must own the store. No, I don't own the store. I run it like it's my own. And she hated when I moved on for better pay. I take on every business as if it's my own. I want it to succeed. I don't necessarily want people to think the business is mine, but I do want that business to grow in such a way that I can hand off their baby or hand their baby back to them in better condition than they handed it to me. So if they hand me a baby with a dirty diaper, I clean up the baby and give it back.
And your phrasing almost makes me feel like defining the role of an OBM is a bit of a resistance movement where VAs are just tired of being underpaid and they want to demand equal pay for their skills. So what do you say to business owners who are actually turned off by the label of OBM for that same reason? Because as you know, out there, outsourcing work to countries like India and Asia and Africa, North American CEOs are able to get the same output at a cheaper rate. So what do you say to those CEOs where they're saying, well, yeah, I could just get someone overseas to do exactly what you're talking about. You're asking for too much. What do you say to them?
They could, absolutely, but they also have to realize that an American-based OBM is going to understand the American culture a lot better than somebody who's sitting in a different country. So there's less hand-holding for the American OBM versus an outsourced OBM. Outsourced OBMs really need to start looking for those high ticket clients in their own countries as well, because those other countries aren't outsourcing necessarily to the United States. The money is there. They need to remarket and reframe themselves to higher ticket clients in their own country to get higher pay. Or even if you do understand the American culture, you need to make that part of your marketing package to demand the higher rates that American OBMs are making.
Yeah, I would almost say that even if you are in another country, and you're working for U.S. clients, you need to market yourself as a U.S. It doesn't matter where you're at. That's the beauty of working online. That's the beauty of being able to say that I'm an online business manager. It doesn't say I'm an online business manager just in Texas or just in Oklahoma or Tennessee or wherever you're at. Online is all over the world. And I think if you position yourself in a way with your marketing, it doesn't matter where you're located. What matters is the work that you do and the quality of the work that you do.
I do want to bring up one point here. So we have a number of accreditation organizations that are out there and certifications. And what do you think the common thread is that each of those organizations try to standardize within OBMs that go through their process? And the reason I'm asking this is because when you go onto LinkedIn, you'll see people using the term OBM, but their services are either I have a system and I'm going to put it into your business. This is my software and you can purchase my software. Or I'm an OBM, but I specialize in ClickUp, Dipsado, X software, and I'm going to come and put this into your business. But then you also see OBMs who are like, well, I'll audit your business. I'll identify your needs and gaps, and then I'll put together a plan that's specific to how you work and what you want to accomplish, and then implement the tech based on that. So even within the OBM space itself, everybody's kind of definitions of what an OBM does is very different. I was talking to another OBM a couple weeks ago, and she had asked to, just take a peek into my business and shadow me, and her brain was completely blown out of her head when she saw the depth of what I actually do. And she says, I thought it was just you come in and you put in a software and you're done. And so there is confusion even amongst the OBM people who have that title in general. So when we're looking at the organizations, what is the commonality that they try to get across as far as standardizing this profession?
Would hope, I can't speak for all of them because I haven't went through all of them, but I would hope that what they're doing is an overarching goal of making sure that the foundational aspects of what an OBM does is being taught and is in place. And it's not just about the implementation aspects of it. It's about being able to see the big picture. It's about almost being able to strategize and coach your clients through hurdles and things that they might come up against in their business. And so I would almost say it's not about the tech. It's not about the implementation. It's more about being able to take that business owner to the next level. And you can't do that if you're always looking for direction. And what do you want me to do now? What do you need me to do now? As an OBM, or I would hope OBMs in general, would be able to talk to the business owner, see where they're at, see where they want to go, and then help them get there. That's the key component, I believe, to being an OBM, is taking the information that you're given and running with it to help them reach their goal by being proactive and not waiting to be told what to do.
A lot of ways, OBMs are that strategic brainstorming thinker that manages the muddled head of the CEO. When you look at these different types of things, it is almost, like you said, Maniba, it is almost like a movement. Different programs teach different things. Some programs teach tech, some teach, how they want the client managed. If they're going to give you their certification, so to speak, they want you to know certain skills so they can put you through their particular, job placement, whatever. I don't necessarily think you have to go through a program to get a certification. Very few people look for that, but you do have to have critical thinking, great organization. You've got to be able to communicate well. You've got to be able to manage multiple people and multiple projects, multiple systems. And you've also got to know how all of those work so the visionary doesn't have to worry about it anymore. So to me, how it goes in the OBM.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll also add, it's not about multitasking. It's about being able to manage multiple businesses at once, not like at the same time, but you may have 3 clients on retainer and you need to be able to give each client 100% of you.
I think there is so much more to be said in this conversation. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to cut off this episode right here and stop for this moment. But be sure to tune in next week where we continue part 2 of this episode. And we'll continue diving into what an OBM is and different aspects of this conversation. So Christy, Lena, thank you so much for your time today. Let's pick this up again next week. We hope you all will join us.